Going. Hi, everybody. Dan DeFedericis of Saratoga Report, and I am here with someone who may not be new to you in Saratoga, but new to this feature that we do on Saratoga Report. This is sponsored content. I am here with Chris Signor, the principal of Saratoga Central Catholic School, Spa Catholic to many of you. Chris is not only the principal; he's an alumnus of the school. I'll just say a few decades back, Chris. We're the same age, so I won't list a year. First of all, just as we approach Easter, how's everything going, and how are you doing?
Things are going well. Thanks for having me on the podcast, Dan. Things are going real well here at the school.
That's great. And boy, you guys are on a high. You were just awarded again the top private school by the Saratogian, fourth year in a row. Congratulations on that. And the sports teams, it seems like every 5 minutes, something great is happening in the sports team. And I hate to single some out, but really I do have to single out the girls varsity basketball team winning for the first time ever the sectional championship just less than a month ago, I believe. And congratulations to all your sports team and certainly the girls varsity basketball.
Thanks, Dan. Winning best private school 4 years in a row is an accomplishment, but the bigger accomplishment, as you just pointed out, was the first time ever our girls varsity basketball team has a sectional title, and we're hoping to repeat next year as well.
Yes, speaking of repeating next year, the baseball team, the boys varsity baseball team, which was a state champion last year, they're starting at practices. I think I saw they're down in Florida, or they were down in Florida. Is that correct?
They're 15th straight year in Disney, and I'm also happy to report that they're doing very well. Just as importantly, our females are down in Myrtle Beach for our inaugural Myrtle Beach trip for the girls softball team. They look very promising. They're a young team. Coach Abby Arsenault is leading that team along with Coach Shea Bomersky. So the husband and wife duo are down there getting the kids all ready, and I understand spring training is going great in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
That blows me away. Like when I'm guessing your high school experience was kind of like mine, and we didn't leave the town, much less the state, to go somewhere south to practice. That's really pretty neat, though.
We used to go south, though, Dan. My baseball team used to go south. We'd go to Boston. Really? Yeah, we go to Boston.
Hey, listen. So, folks, we're here to talk about Saratoga Central Catholic, and I'm not just here to promote them as Saratoga Report. I am a parent of a child going to Spa Catholic, and for us, for my daughter, it has worked out beautifully. She absolutely loves it here, and I'm not here to tell you that Saratoga Central Catholic is like the greatest fit for everybody. There's some students that it's just not a good fit. But you don't know until you give it a look and maybe take a visit, stop in to do a shadow visit or a tour or a brief meeting with Chris and his staff to find out more about it. That's what I'm here to today to tell you about, and what Chris is going to fill in. You've had tremendous success there, Chris, and like I said, I'll never say it's better than the public schools, but because you're smaller, there's things you can do better. There's things that make it a better fit. For a lot of families, again, not all. And do you want to touch on that? The Catholic education, the private education. Can you touch on that? Because you've seen it from a student's perspective as well as a principal.
Well, it's always been a great school. And as you stated in the beginning of the interview, I am an alum, but more importantly, I think I'm a third generation alum. My father also graduated from here. It's throughout the decades, it's always remained an amazing institution. And a lot of the kids that take us for granted are the kids that come from St. Clement's or St. Mary's. Some of the kids in our feeder sister schools, it's just an extension of very good Catholic education. But the kids that really appreciate us are some of the students that come over from Maple Avenue Middle School, or they come from one of the public schools in our area. We have 17 different school districts represented in our school. So kids come from all over the region. And those are some of the happiest families. They're noticing probably sometimes for the first time a school's values matching the family values, and we're reinforcing those family values, and we're really reinforcing the desire for a quality education, for students to go on to some of the best colleges and trades and some of the best military careers in the area. It's very impressive what our alumni have done throughout the decades, leadership positions, and a lot of that has to do with the size of our school. Being a small school, giving individual attention. It's very interesting to see a kid come in sometimes as an 11-year-old, very shy, sometimes withdrawn, and within a couple of years they're playing 2 or 3 sports. They're a class officer, or they're involved in student council or a club or an activity. It's kind of stuff that you really can't do if you're in a bigger school. And oftentimes people say, oh, we're going to go to Saratoga High School, we're going to go to Shen. There's so many opportunities. There are immense, tremendous opportunities for 1% of the population. Let's face it. You're going to be a basketball superstar. You're born, you're 6'8". You might make the basketball team at Shen. Here we beg kids. As you know, we just started a brand new group of kids started this year with our track team. We went from having 12 and 15 kids consistently. This year we have almost 50 kids in our track program. Some of them are first-time athletes, starting as 12-year-olds, and we have all the way up to senior year kids that have never run track or thrown a discus or shot put. We had a freshman the other day, very first time throwing a shot put, and Coach Chase said, "Hey, what do you think the record is? The Section 2 record for Class D schools is?" And the kid goes, "I have no idea." He goes, "I know I just threw 41 feet." He goes, "Well, the record's 46 feet, so let's start working." So that kind of story doesn't happen, in a bigger school. Opportunities exist in small schools like Saratoga Catholic.
And yet your sports teams are still more than competitive. They've, again, as we just mentioned, they are at some levels championship, and not just the 2 we mentioned either. You're getting all sorts of success across an array of sports.
We've got, first of all, a school's probably only as good as its teachers and its staff, and the same thing with the sports program. I mean, we have Abby Arsenault, head softball coach. We've got Athena De Laurentiis, of course, the sectional winning basketball coach. We have Molly Gallagher, amazing volleyball pedigree. The volleyball team does amazing. Of course, Coach Lambert, Coach Shea Bomerski in boys basketball. We across the board. Dan Cumlander, cross country. Chris Chase in track, in field. Coach Long, Coach Ponicello in golf. Again, tremendous coaching. Kids that are starting off for the first time, swinging a golf club. They're scoring. They're actually on the team scoring by the end of the season. Coach Venn and Coach Nucera started our women's soccer program from the ground up 2 years ago. Tremendous success. We're in a tough league. We play a lot of CB competition, and by the time we get into sectionals and the D level, they're going to be very successful this year. But again, it's top to bottom, and I know I'm leaving some people out. I apologize, but across the board, every one of our sports teams, they're successful because of our coaching.
That's great. And then back to academics, I know you've got a 9-to-1 student to teacher ratio, and that means, and you touched on this a little earlier, no child's getting lost at Spa Catholic, are they?
No, and those numbers are deceptive, because those are like core classes, English, language arts, social studies, things you have to take. But by the time the kids hit like freshman year, they're taking introduction to business, they're taking marketing, they're taking sports management classes, they're taking accounting classes. We just brought in a second MBA to our business department this year, George Hanna, and he brought with him from Catholic Central High School a program called VITA, the Voluntary Income Tax Assistance Program. And I know you've interviewed George.
Yes.
Very dynamic business department with Jay Kelly. So the kids are very engaged. So that ratio gets a little bit lower as we get into the APs, the college level courses. We have Aaron Crowther teaching 2 English level classes to seniors, and AP, and regular 12th and 11th grade English. So again, tremendous amount of courses in such a small school. It's kind of unprecedented. Our 6th graders start off with introduction to business, and they're learning how to do spreadsheets on Excel. They're learning how to read income statements and balance sheets. It's good stuff. Our theology department, is hitting on all cylinders. Kids are not only learning the rubrics of the faith, but they're learning how to serve. Community service is a big part of our charism, and of course, mission of our school. Kids are getting into service at a very early age. We even have a service day for the adults. April 28th this year, we have it's called a service blitz, and all the staff members across the diocese will be going out and doing various service projects in the community. So we even encourage our staff to be involved in the faith and in our social justice mission.
Great. And I want to touch on something here regarding, obviously, there's tuition. And what I found out, being a longtime Catholic school parent and talking to other parents, is even those, and I know, and we're not promising any level of scholarship or tuition assistance here, but what I will say is some parents were encouraged to apply even though they didn't think they would qualify. And they did. Some of those people were surprised to get some money to offset the tuition. And that's a really neat thing, because there are some people in this community and that really care about Catholic education, and they're very generous, right?
Absolutely. Again, I said earlier that we have a very successful alumni base. And as a result of that, we have a lot of alumni that have set up third-party scholarship foundations and funds. So we have access to money for various demographics. We have scholarship money for kids that want to become nurses. We have scholarship money for children that want to own businesses. We have single parent family scholarships. We have need-based scholarships. We have different academic interest scholarships. So we just had two tremendous bequests left to us this past year by two very generous alumni. James Fry, left a large portion of his estate just restricted for scholarships. He was a man from the '60s who was so excited about his education here. He became a college professor at Champlain College, became an attorney, was very successful, and then he gave back by giving scholarships. Second one we got was Margaret Keefe. Margaret, again, she was a 1960s graduate, Saratoga Catholic. Again, had a very successful career. She wanted to give back by giving scholarships to children. And so we have another, pool of funds that will sustain us, for a very long time. And I could go on and on naming names, but I'm sure I'd forget people. But I think what you're getting to is even if you believe there is no need, there are, again, various types of scholarships, and you are encouraged to apply for aid.
Yeah, and that says volumes that these alumni in their 70s and 80s, approaching the end of their lives, they want to get back to the school that they went to 60 and 70 years ago. It's still in their heart, right?
It's still in their heart. And again, I understand that I'll divulge, Dan. I know you're younger than me, but I'm the class of 1984. In that class was Maria Izo. She's our middle school assistant principal. She works here. We went to kindergarten together. In that class, 1984 is Coach Alphonse Lambert, our athletic director, works here, gives back. So even people that are not giving back financially are giving back with their time and talents. It's funny. I say this quite a bit in open houses. I'll introduce some of my teachers. I've got, at last count, 9 teachers that either have students here currently of their own children or have recently graduated their own children. These teachers are here. They're dedicated to this school, even if they're not alumni. They see the value to the point where they're bringing their own children here, and their children are successful. So it's always been a very special place.
Absolutely. And folks, again, you don't know. It's funny how you'll do college tours and drive 3 states away to do college tours and so forth. This starts in 6th grade. This starts in middle school if you choose to, and your child is of that age. All I'm encouraging people to do is give Saratoga Central Catholic, Spa Catholic a look. Stop in and do a tour and see if it's right for you. Again, some it may not be, but so many that really don't think about it as an option, and they would find that, my goodness, this is not only a good option, this is a great option. And I don't want to throw anything bad at other schools down in Albany. There's some elite schools down there, but I'm not putting my kid on a bus for two hours a day. This is a great school right here in our community. So, folks, do I have the number up? Let me get that number up. Okay, you can call for an appointment. You can get on the website, do a shadow. Your student can do a shadow tour with a student of their age to see what it's all about. So they're part of the process as well. Chris, any last thoughts on this?
No, I encourage families to not wait for open houses. Don't wait for Catholic Schools Week for the tours. Every day is a tour day. Heather Bott, our coordinator for enrollment, she's exceptional. Very easy to reach. She's approachable. Reach out to Heather. She'll connect you with the proper staff member you would like to meet with. I interview every student that comes through the doors. I meet every family. I encourage you to reach out to me directly. And anyone here can help you. And I think there's no better way to get to know what a school is about than to see it in its full bloom with students walking through the halls. What do their uniforms look like? How, let's read the kids' faces. Are they happy? Are they sad? How are they organizing their locker? What does the lunchroom look like? These are all things you can get by coming in during the school day.
Oh, and you ended strong, but you remind me of something. So I got to steal a little bit of your thunder there. When my daughter was looking at Spa Catholic last year, and I was around there, it was the students that sold me without trying to sell me. I just saw them and I said, these are the kids that I want my child going to school with. Oh my God, they're smart, they're funny, they're just also just a lot of great things.
Could not agree. What a great student body. Yep. And
yes,
and they become great alumni someday, Dan.
Great, excellent. Geez, it was great talking to you. Folks, you heard it all. And thanks, Chris. And let's do this again in a few weeks.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
Absolutely. Take care.